What's up, guys? Stella Christoph here for our very first episode of a Stella podcast. I have my co-host with me, Full Furnish,
What's
and
up? How's it going, everybody?
with us today we have our very first guest. We have the Titan of Cards himself, Dan, aka aDrive. What's up, Dan?
Yo, what's going on, guys? Very excited to kick off the podcast with you. Very excited to tackle your hard-hitting questions, and make sure you guys hit that like button down below.
Here we go. Um, First question really is we're post Dallas. What are your thoughts on Dallas?
Oh man, it was absolutely incredible. Like I went into it recognizing that for us there was a huge opportunity to deliver and create a great experience for people, and that was the goal, kind of along the way. Like every opportunity we had to try to optimize and just try to think of everything we could to give everyone a great experience. We tried to do, but you just don't know, right? Like, and I remember getting there and walking into the venue before, like a couple days before the event, and like taking like a huge exhale because I was like, okay, the space is big enough. Like we're gonna be all right. We're gonna fit everyone in here. And then as the tournament progressed and kind of the event went on, the vibes were great. It was just really awesome getting a chance to meet everybody. And I'm just really stoked that we were able to kind of have this incredible event and give everyone the experience that they deserve and celebrate Elestrals in such a great way. So I'm a perfectionist, as you guys probably know. I set very high expectations, and I feel like we delivered. So I'm really happy about it, and I'm super excited to kind of get our feet moving in the right direction to plan the next one.
Yeah, I mean, from a attendee perspective, it was really really fun to be at. It was a super fun event to be at. And then also like my background comes from like hosting IRL events, and when I go to events, I always like to see like try to like find out like ooh what they do here, what they do here. And honestly, like typically when I go to something, I can find out what happens like behind the scenes without actually talking to the people and being able to see like, oh, this was a struggle. But like honestly, it seems like you guys actually executed it extremely well, which is like very impressive for like the first event for Elestrals.
Yeah, honestly, I got to give all the credit in the world to the team because that was all them. Like, it's so crazy to think that when you take a step back and recognize that the entire team, for the most part, has never met each other in person, right? So you've got people like Giant Skyhawk from Canada and Daniel Reyes from El Salvador and KG from Italy now, and all over the world. And many of us have not met in person before, so we came together and it was like family, man. Like it all just clicked, and I got to just give so much props to the team because we had so many people who were there willing to help and be a part of it and just make sure everything ran smoothly, and everyone held it down. Like at the end of the day, the team made it so I was able to just kind of do my thing, which was to interact with the people that were there and do the gunslinger clashes and just be a part of the event. And I was able to do that for pretty much the entire time, which again, I just can't speak enough to how incredible the team executed, and they held it
Yeah.
down. And we had like a retroactive discussion, obviously post Dallas, to go through the things that we can improve on. And we got a nice list of things that we can do better in the future. But all these things just kind of, they're going to be the cherry on top next time. And I think that's very exciting. So yeah, I get it. I can't give enough praise to the team because they really held it down. Like just
Yeah.
incredible to have everyone come together and work so in sync. I think it's just really impressive, and it speaks to just the vibes, the culture that we're trying to build. So I think
Yeah.
that's really
It probably helps for
Well,
future events too when it's just like the little details that need to be expanded upon.
I will
yeah
say for
for
someone
sure
who's
for
never
sure.
really been in an in-person event, like it seemed flawless. Like it seemed like you said, all these people barely know each other, they barely met each other in person, but yet it seemed like the teamwork was there, which again
Yeah.
states the our community and how our community thrives on cooperation and teamwork and everything. I thought it went seamless.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think, like you said, kind of highlighting the community, I think everyone just was in such a good mood to be there, right? So I felt like that also helped, that even if something went a little wrong, it wasn't a big deal because we were going to be quick to fix it. We were going to make sure that we took care of the people that were there and try to create a great experience for everybody. And I was just stoked, and it was so cool for me to meet everybody. And again,
Yep.
just even 2 days before the event, Thursday, I got into Dallas, and like from the second I stepped into that hotel, it was just any interaction we had, it was just immaculate vibes. Everyone was excited to be there, and I think that's the most important thing for me, right? In terms of what we build off of is just how incredible our community is, how welcoming our community is, how everybody is just trying to have a good time and partake in this wonderful experience that we have of being able to share this card game together. So all in all, man, it's been a few weeks now, and I've been trudging through the mud dealing with all the, the global challenges of making Elestrals. But it is nice to reflect back on Dallas because that was such a bright spot for us, and a really good kind of stepping stone for what we're trying to build.
It was the Firestorm packs that won the community over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had to hold that one in for a while. I was really excited about that when I realized that there was an opportunity to do that. When production completes, they send like post-production samples to me, so I have an opportunity to like verify everything is supposed to, open the ratios that I want to see, or the quality that I want to see, things like that. Kind of the final check before we, pack everything. And I was like, what if we just had them send me more of those post-production samples, and I can hand them out at Dallas? That would be a great idea. So the timing was great. It was a really fun opportunity for us to hook everybody up, and I just figured, like, what better way to start the weekend than to give everyone kind of the shiny new toy that everyone's really excited for.
Love it. Love it.
When you announced that, I thought my eardrum was going to pop. Everyone just started screaming.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
My wife just starts strolling in at the end of it. I'm like, get over here and get a free pack. Come on.
Yeah, it was good. I was also thinking about like how we had the trade night that night and stuff, and I thought it could be like a really cool catalyst to get people excited for trade night. So there was a lot of like synergistic plays there in terms of just getting people stoked about Firestorm, and obviously I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be great for the game. So just a lot of wins. It's going to be tough to replicate the Firestorm thing at the next one because that was a unique timing, but we'll have to wait and see what we have planned.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of wins, Bo's deck list. It's been a deck he's piloted since what, like November. What are your thoughts on like seeing a kind of like an out of the meta like pocket pick essentially take the first premiere for the first in-person premiere for Elestrals?
Yeah, I think it speaks to a few different things. One, it was an out-of-pocket pick, but now it's kind of defined what the meta games look like moving forward in terms of the uptick in Argo usage, which we did see in Dallas. It seemed like that was something that some players were kind of holding a little closer to their chest of the prevalence and impact of that card. But overall, just incredible to see Bo take a concept, and it was a known concept, right? This was a known entity. He had run this deck many times, even though he had tweaked it for the version that ultimately won at Dallas. It wasn't like this was like a total secret, right? So the fact that he was able to do that and continue to optimize and tweak, I think shows a couple really cool things about Elestrals. One, it shows that there is an opportunity for people to dive into, maybe rogue or fringe strategies and find success in those kind of opportunities with enough tweaking and kind of adjustments to the metagame. And also it kind of just shows just the wide field we had, which I think is such a nice breath of fresh air from where we were kind of in the Daybreak metagame, where we kind of devolved into fives and more of just like concentrating back and forth. There wasn't a ton of gameplay strategy. Moonrise obviously kind of unlocked that opportunity and really opened the door for more game plan decks. And even the evolution from the initial stage of the Moonrise metagame, where we went from kind of a more lunar aggro style gameplay to now seeing the evolution of all sorts of different stuff. I mean, the fact that Celestlio just top cut a recent event because of the prevalence of Argo and the opportunity to do that. So it's a really cool spot to be, and Bo was able to do it in such a unique way by just utilizing cards that were on people's radar, but weren't, right? I mean, Heliolith was massive, right? And just the ability to pilot that deck, it was a very high skill deck. You have to really understand your lines, and you have to really understand how you're utilizing your resources to maximize, the effectiveness of the game plan. But just incredibly impressive and a great guy too. Like, it was awesome getting to meet him. I remember mid tournament, I had met him and I was excited to meet him because obviously I knew who he was. And we made a little trade in the tournament. And then I realized I had a Reverse Stellar Lustragon on my binder. So I took it out and I signed it for him and I gave it to him, and he slid it into his deck. It never hit the field in the top cut, but he had that Reverse Stellar Lustragon that I gave him in his deck, which was really fun. So just those little moments are really, I try to be in it and really try to have a great experience with everyone that I have an opportunity to interact with. And it was really cool to have that moment with him, and then for him to go on and win the whole thing, which was really cool. So just big kudos to him. Incredible amount of resolve to get through that size of a tournament with such a unique strategy that I'm sure took a lot of brain power.
As a guy who lost to him, he gave me my first loss in the entire tournament. It was really I thought it was really back and forth. And then the very last move of the game, how seamless he did that. When he did Scythe of Demeter on my Elestral, Heliolifted out, sent the other Elestral back, and then used those spirits for Earthquake. like complete. He has done that multiple times. Like he has trained for that moment.
And
And then
when
again, like you guys saw on the video, he literally just card done.
I love that so much. Like those interactions are like I think what opens people's third eye to the potential for Elestrals in terms of like just how you can use the spirit resource, this finite resource of only 20 spirits in a game. You just gave a very simple example of how he turned 2 spirits into essentially 4 because he was able to utilize a bunch of different pathways to play Scythe, get out Heliolith, and then use those spirits on Scythe to play Earthquake, basically getting more out of those spirits than, and that's the name of the game. It just gets me excited to hear about that. It's just incredible amount of piloting. And like I said, he was a little ahead of the game on the Argo tech, I think, which is really cool. And now Argo, everyone's riding on the ship. So, he kind of paved the way there in the Moonrise metagame, which still feels like it has so much room to evolve. I feel like we're it's not even solved yet with a month plus to go before Firestorm.
And I want people to be honest in the comment section below. How many of you would actually think to play an artifact on your opponent's Elestral that buffs them just to get your own Elestral down? Like, that is just like a play that, like, you don't, like, you wouldn't think of buffing your opponent's Elestrals. You would think of just, like, trying to figure out how to out it. And he just, that's, like you said, that's that, like, third eye to, like, see beyond, like, what you would just see in, like, an ordinary position.
That's up there with Gorgons gazing your Astrabit to give your Spectrus an additional attack buff to hit over your opponent's Astrabit. Crazy stuff you can do.
Yeah.
I feel like he was Heliolith for a while.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he's like, how am I going to do this? This is going to be the card that wins me the game. How am I going to do this? Oh, okay, here we go. Done.
Yeah, super powerful, right? And this is a card that, again, really wasn't utilized. Solar was really, thought as being kind of on the back burner. Obviously, people were messing around with some different builds. But then for him to come out there with this incredible artifact build, just awesome stuff. Heliolith proved to be such a menace. And his takeaway was that he felt that Heliolith would have been better in main instead of side because he kept siding it in. So that's really interesting. And it's been cool to see the game develop in that context. A lot of opportunities there. I'm just waiting for now the Rhinosect Heliolith builds. I guess that's next, right?
Please don't do that. Please don't do that to me.
When we have Nixamera in the Solar Frost, that'll...
Oh, God.
There you go.
That card's good. I like that card a lot.
Taking a step back slightly. January 1st, 2022, you sat down, you're like, I'm going to come up with the Elestrals. What was your first step? Like, did you think of, like, the spirit system first? Did you think of, like, how these creatures look? Like, what was your first thought process?
Yeah, so the initial idea kind of came together. I sat down. It was, as you said, January 1st, 2022. I'm kind of looking at my goals for the year and what was next for me as a content creator. And I was very heavily involved in the card space. So there was a lot of different avenues that I was, involved in. I had a card shop. I had a grading company. I was very into vintage cards and doing the live breaks and things like that. And there was a really big digital game client coming out for another game that I was thinking about playing, and it wasn't really interesting me. So I was like, I'm just going to make my own card game. Why the heck not? So the first thing that I really came up with was just the overall idea, right? I really wanted there to, like, the vision in terms of how the spirits were going to function in the world. This idea that you had these cute creatures that could be very recognizable, that were kind of entrenched in the visuals of the game, that served as your energy, right? And there was some inspiration taken from different places, but it's hard to explain how, I really just sat down and just kind of brain dumped onto a Word document on Google Drive. And it, obviously things came down the road as we developed more, but it's funny to think like a lot of the game was written in just that afternoon of me just kind of, putting ideas onto the table. And I had a pretty good idea. I had the first couple elements that I wanted to do. I had an idea of how I wanted the spirits to look or, kind of exist in the world. And then the initial core concept of the gameplay system of like, all right, well, these creatures are going to be your energy, but you're not going to have to draw them. You're going to have them in a separate deck. Like those were some of the initial ideas. And then from there, like, I think it was like 2 or 3 days later, I posted on Twitter that I was looking to find an artist to kind of work with. And that's how I synced up with Daniel Reyes. And we just hit the ground running. Like I just told him, hey, this is what I want to do. He told me in Dallas, he's like, I had people ask me to do this stuff all the time and they never get anywhere, right? Like this is just people, make a few pictures and, you might post a tweet or two about him, and then that's it. And he thought that was going to be what this was, just kind of a few little commissions on the side here. And I told him I'm gonna make a trading card game, and we just kind of started working through the artwork, and he was great in terms of giving me a bunch of different styles and things to go with. So the initial sketches of Teratlus were very different than what Teratlus looks like today, in terms of just style and presentation. But it all came together, right? It was really just kind of one step at a time, and it's incredible though to look back on how much kind of came together on just that first brainstorming session. But I don't want to like boil it down to me just like having this spark of inspiration, because really the inspiration was something that built my entire life leading to that point, right? Like I played Pokemon and other games my whole life. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! I played Pokemon. I my kids are into Frozen, right? Like there's so many different things that kind of culminated and all were built into my brain of all the challenges I've experienced with other games and the things that I'd like to see. And it, it all kind of just manifested itself into that one afternoon that set me on this crazy journey. And I kind of just put my head down and never looked up. I just keep on pushing forward, I guess.
That's sometimes that's what you got to do. And like, you have definitely done a fantastic job of like looking ahead, right? You're always trying to think like, what's the next thing? Like you said, you're a perfectionist. You want to try to find that best thing. And to me, that's what you want to see in somebody who's like kind of leading a company, where that like a project that I like to have as like a passion project, a hobby. And when you have someone who's that passionate behind the wheel and showcasing that passion on a daily basis, it makes it super fun to be a part of that community and collect and be a collector in the game. So
I'm glad to hear that, and I appreciate that. And I think for me, this whole experience for me has really been that, like a passion project in terms of my pursuit of what I'm trying to build and my commitment to building something for the players and the community. All of this has stemmed from the kind of core pillars of what Elestrals is, which is, ultimately to bring people together, especially coming out of the pandemic, which is another kind of inspiration factor for me. Capturing the nostalgia that I had as a kid, because I remember the magic in my brain as I adventured through these fantasy worlds when I was younger, and then kind of give that to the next generation. I've got young kids. I've got a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I see how I parent my kids and the things that I decide to do, and I see what happens with other parents and kind of what I see on a larger scale. And I also know the very, very apparent and strong benefits of playing card games, and from the perspective of interacting with people and strategy and competition and memorization and having collectability to something that you can put intrinsic value to. These are all really valuable tools that I think are great for young minds. So there's a lot of driving force for me. I always tell people that I certainly didn't need to create Elestrals. I didn't need to go down this path. In fact, when you look at my life from a pure financial or monetary perspective, this was a pretty poor decision in all things considered, if I'm being honest, right? My content career was doing very well at the time of me starting Elestrals, and I've foregone a lot of that. But it's because I have such a strong drive towards building this, and I believe so strongly in my mission that other stuff doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really am so focused on building something awesome. And it's great when I also get these reminders. Like over the weekend, my daughter's been writing this little Elestrals book, right? Kind of on her own accord, wanted to write this little short story about Elestrals. And like, I read that and I see her excitement in building it. And the fact that that's a part of my life is worth more than anything, right? Like, that's why I started this, to have those moments. So to be able to have those pauses and be able to be in that, like Dallas, for example, the Dallas Open event, like this weekend, like I said, those are the things that really get me excited and make me so thankful for what I'm trying to accomplish. So it certainly helps outweigh the challenges, because this is a very hard thing that I'm trying to do. I don't want to downplay it. It is incredibly hard, and I am challenged every single day. But I love it, to be honest. I love it because that's where I feel the personal growth comes in as well. Mm-hmm. When you're faced up against adversity, like, you don't have a choice but to figure it out. And I think that's something that gets me excited every day too. So a lot of really good wins. And I'm just really stoked to be in the position that I'm in, and just keep on pushing forward.
I will say as a fan, one thing I really like is that you take the fan suggestions. So card text on the runes, number one. Number two, stained glass. I think didn't you say that that was a fan submitted
It
idea?
was,
Like
yeah,
that
yeah, it
was
was.
cool, and then you ran with it into Shad Stars. Now that's a staple in every single month of Shad Stars since the very first month. So
It's so
one
funny
thing
too.
for
No, I was just gonna say really quickly, like it's so funny too, because I'm the first to say, like, I have no idea what I'm doing, right? Like I've never built a card game before. I've never made a company like this before. I'm learning as I go. So if you guys have great ideas, I'll take them. Let's do it. Let's do it together. That's so much better. Like why would I not do that?
Yep.
Seems like a no-brainer.
it's one nice thing to see a CEO that like again cares about the community, wants the community to thrive versus other companies. I won't name them, but like they're corporate led. They don't care. Like this is what we're gonna do, and this is how you're gonna like it. Versus you that like oh like you just said perfectly. Like dude, you got a good idea. I think that's awesome. I'm gonna run with it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it's a good place for us to be because it's so natural. Like it's not forced. It's not I'm not like going out of my way to like be like give me ideas community, we want to be in touch with you.
Yeah.
It's just authentic. Like I legitimate it's so funny. I remember this comment from MBT where he was talking about the Dallas Open in kind of retrospect as well. And he talked about how like he saw me going on Twitter and like finding people and finding out what their complaints were about other games. And I would always be replying to people being like, why do you feel this way about this game? Or why do you like I'm not doing that out of sport. Like that's
Yeah.
real research for me. I genuinely care. I genuinely want to know because is gonna give me the insight and information to make better decisions for the future. And you know, people see that sometimes and they think it's like kind of a joke or a meme, but like that's how you get better. That's how you make those decisions in the long run to stand out. And like I said, for us, it's like it's such an easy, authentic situation because that's what I'm trying to do. Like it's built into the DNA of what Elestrals is, I think. And that's really the important part. When in comparison, you know, you've got these big IPs and these big companies, which no shade on them, right? Like incredible what they've done to get to where they are. But the reality of it is you have so many links in the chain of people and so much turnover from the initial vision of the project to begin with. And then you start getting in so much kind of other people's money and responsibilities that deal with that. I always tell people, I mean, Elestrals is completely bootstrapped. We have no outside investors. We are employee owned. That's it. We're just running with it, right? So like no one's gonna care more than me at the end of the day, right? Like I'm in it. This is my baby. This is what I spend every day on from like the second I wake up to the second I go to bed. I'm working on this, you know? So it's just very authentic and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to engage with people and try to make the best game I can. And I'm never gonna be perfect. I'm gonna make mistakes, but I think the important thing is that we learn from them and then we try not to make them again. So, you know, that's how we try to rock with it.
Yeah, perfect example of engaging community is you're sitting here talking to us about Elestrals. So, and that's super cool. You mentioned earlier that like you hit up Daniel Ray, or you were looking for an artist, and Daniel Reyes hit you up, and he was kind of saying like, oh, this normally just goes into like a couple posts on Twitter, and then that's it. When did it really start to become like you need to bring on a team? So like getting everyone out, like Brandon, KG, everyone like that. Like when did that kind of become part of the process? And like this is when you were like, okay, now we're like building a team. We're going to be putting it into production. This is like seriously hitting the next step.
Yeah, that's interesting. So KG, I kind of naturally had on the team because he was part of the aDrive content team. So like he was very much so like in transition, just with me as my kind of assistant, and what a talented guy to have as the guy there because he did all the branding and all the packaging and was there to help guide creative. The artist team kind of got formed very quickly. You know, once we had the initial drawings from Dan, I found a bunch of artists. So that team was very quickly to like 10, 15. But from like the business side of things, I apologize if I leave anybody out here, but I'm pretty sure like I kind of ran the ship for a really long time. I brought in a head judge, Bo, initially to help with the rulings, and I definitely, you know, brought in different people in the community to kind of help me with the things that I just didn't have experience with. But from like a business administration side, I don't think I really brought anyone in to help until this around the time we were delivering Kickstarter. Maybe a few months prior is when I brought in Tyler and Brandon to help. both of which I knew very well. Tyler, I was the best man at his wedding. We had worked together for many years. He's my best friend. Brandon, I knew very well because we had worked on a couple other business ventures together in the past, and I was very aware of his experience. And I had actually hired him to build the first Elestrals website, so he built it for the Kickstarter. So like it was kind of a natural transition in working with them, and like for me to get where I need to go, like I need some help because my time is obviously very limited. I do a lot of different things in the business, but there's certain things in the business that I do that are core to driving the business forward. And like, there's other things that I do in the business that someone else could probably do efficiently. And that's been a learning process for me, is like, how do I determine those things? Because obviously like I have many things to do. How can I hand some of those tasks off to different people so that they can do them to allow me to focus on the things that generally only I can do in the way that needs to be done? So that's been a learning experience for me for sure. But I would say, about right around the time we were delivering Kickstarter, so that would have been 23, a couple months prior is when I started to really build the team out. And then, kind of by, a few months later, I would say they were really entrenched and kind of working, in a bigger capacity. But it's been kind of, generally the way we've worked is like any opportunity we have to bring someone onto the team, we do. I tell people that, like, people ask me like, is Elestrals profitable? And it's like, yeah, but like we legitimately, any penny we make, we just invest it to build the team, right? And like continue to move forward. We'll put more into advertising, or we'll put more into improving this product, or whatever it may be. Like, it's just always doing that. So like, I'm not collecting a bonus or anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're just pushing it all forward because the goal is to build the game and have as many people enjoying it as possible. So but I'm very thankful for the team now, because I definitely couldn't do all the things that we do. And everyone who is working at Elestrals right now is there because they see the vision, they see the passion, and they want to be a part of building something really special. And I know our team, everybody gives 120%, and that's a really special place to be because it's such a great group of people. We highlighted earlier in the Dallas conversation, but just such a great group of people. And for us to, generally speaking, for us to all come together through the online space, I think is also really cool.
Yeah, it's so important, especially kind of like you in a global work environment. Basically, like, you're all remote. You don't have like a headquarters that you all go into at the same time every day or whatever.
No office
So
hours.
yeah, so it's like super important that that connection is there, because it's even more important when you don't get to see those people in person on a day-to-day basis. Like, it's harder to build true connections like that. So the fact that you have people that can do that just kind of speaks volumes to the passion of the team, and like how well you guys work together and are able to execute something of this scale completely remote.
Yeah, just again, all props to the team. Like, I think our overall passion and vision for Elestrals is really what drives us
Yeah.
and pushes us together. Because I'll be real, like, I'm a very like work objective focused person. Like, when I'm in, like, I'm focused on what I'm working on. So a lot of the camaraderie with the team, I feel like, is just natural. I think
Yeah.
it's just natural, and I think it's just everybody just shares this same vision and passion, and everybody's just genuinely a good person and just wants to help each other out. And I think it's just incredible, because that's really what we set out to do in the first place. So it's really special that we're at that place. And again, I just got to give all the credit to them, because they're really the all-stars. Like, we couldn't do it without the incredible team. And that goes for everybody, right? Everybody from our QA to, our judges to the helpers that help during our tournaments. Like, it really does extend the whole way. And like, again, we couldn't do it without everybody involved. So I just feel really thankful that everyone sees the vision and sees the passion and sees what we're trying to build and wants to be a part of it, because it's so crucial for us. Even the ambassadors, I got to give shout outs to the ambassadors. Like, even the people who aren't directly on the Elestrals team, but are out there at their local shops trying to help host demo days and help people. Like, can't do it without people like that, because that's the driving force, especially for us as a small business. Like, I don't have the infinite money to like pay a team to go to every store in the country, or pay all this advertising money to do this. Like, we have to be mindful. We have to be smart about how we spend every penny, right? So like, having people who are willing to help us spread the game in such an honest and genuine way, I think really speaks to the potential of what we're building, and it speaks to just the character of the incredible people involved.
Going towards the Elestral side, the creature side of it. Of all the Elestrals that you've created or you've helped create, what's your favorite? You can't say Navi. Can't be Navi.
How could I not
Can't
say
say-
Navi?
Other than Navi.
Navi's biased. Navi's a little biased here.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously. No, I mean, there's so many good ones. It's hard. Ooh, it's hard to pick just one. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones, man. There's a lot of good ones. I don't know. I mean, Navi, my daughter actually just asked me this yesterday. She asked me what my favorite Lestral was. And I told her Navi, and then she was asking me my favorite spirits, and I said Alloon is my favorite spirit. Rattlus is my second favorite spirit. But there's so many Elestrals that I hold dear. Like I think of Phosphocell, for example. I pulled the Stellar Full Art Phosphocell, and like that's an Elestral that exists because I wanted a bug or an insectoid dragon Elestral so badly, and I wanted to bring that to life. So Phosphocell exists, and then so does Fulgorix now. And I like the contrast between them being, solar and lunar. But like Phosphocell, because I pulled the X out of 10, that's an infinitely more special Elestral to me now because I'll always have that card. And every time I slap it on the table, it's awesome, right? So like different memories can be created in different ways and different, for me, attachments or excitement or favoritism towards different Elestrals and cards can be generated in different ways based on those types of things. So it's hard to pinpoint just one. I hate to give you like a lame answer. Navi's the answer. I mean, that's the real answer. But oh man, I mean, I'll always have a special place in my heart for Nimbug and Stratamont. They were the first Elestrals that really kicked things off outside of the spirits. They were the first Elestrals that I ever named, which is really fun. I remember the day I came up with Nimbug, Siracoon, and Stratamont. I was so proud of myself because I'm like, they're 3 different types of clouds. It's perfect. It was such a geeky moment, but I remember like naming Elestrals is hard, man. It's one of the hardest things. And I remember when I nailed those names and I was like, I got this. Like we got the first couple, we're going to do this. So
Nick, what's your favorite?
So initially it was like Hydrake, right? Like when I first saw Elestrals on Kickstarter, I was like, Hydrake is so cool. I've always been a fan of like cool looking dragons and like the white color palette with like the complements of like a blue or a purple, like anything of that nature was like immediately like a creature that's so cool to me. And then once I saw like the Alloon and like the Lunar Spirit line come out, I was like, okay, I'm becoming a lunar caster slowly but surely. And then like more Elestrals in the lunar element came out, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely a lunar caster. And then I really like once the effects kind of came out, the carry on carry off kind of like spoke. There was such a cool tech play with it, like being able to steal your opponent's Elestrals and utilize them. That was such a cool moment. So it was very fitting that my first X of 10 that I pulled was the carry off. It is no longer in my possession, but I did secure a top 16 carry off, so I'm okay. I'm okay with not
That's
having
pretty
the X of 10 anymore. So. But yeah, I'd probably have to say like out of all the Elestrals, started with Hydrake, but right now it's probably carry off.
I'll have to piggyback off after you slightly. My first X10 I ever pulled was the Full Art Sonicore, and anyone who knows me knows I love Sonicore. I mean, I have a custom drawing. You guys can't see the playmat behind me, but I literally have a custom drawing of my dog and I riding Stellar Sonicore's back. That's my intro to half my videos. I will have to say though, probably my second favorite, if not tied for first, is P-Gust. Only because, well, obviously good effect, but my very first video I ever did for Elestrals, which is cringy as all hell, I'll be straightforward with everybody, is the cringiest video you'll ever see. I did pull it on camera. It was the first pack I opened on camera. So to start off the Stellar Kristoff journey, we actually did pull a Stellar in the first video, which is really cool.
I love it. See, you guys pick your favorites based on the cards you pull too. So
I mean, it's kind of fitting though. Like,
yeah,
you pull a card, it carries extra value.
It's so funny
Like I
because
said,
I've been having a lot of conversations. So one of the things that we're focusing on right now is kind of the new player experience and what that looks like at the local game store level. So we're spending a lot of time having discussions internally about this. And one of the things that we've actually identified is that a lot of the times kind of the boss monster, the boss Celestial of a deck that the player first experiences is what they immediately want to, like, they're attracted to. So that's some really interesting information. Like if you're handed the Pantera deck, Pantera becomes your guy like very quickly. It's the likelihood that that's your guy versus a different character in the game or a different Celestial in the game. It's an interesting kind of idea to play with. So when I go to manufacture our next round of demo decks, that's something that I'm very much so thinking about. Like what creatures and Elestrals do I think can resonate with different types of people based on their preferences? and how can I make these demo decks appeal to exactly that idea? Because to me, it's very important. It's very important that you have a connection to different Elestrals and different cards. It's the reason why in Divine Champions, we have the Divine Champions and we have the titles and we have the non-titled Elestrals, because I did not want to go the Yu-Gi-Oh route of a million different creatures. I wanted to go the route of, a couple hundred creatures that people could recognize and form, relationships with or memories with, or whatever it may be. To me, that was such an essential piece of building Elestrals, because it was something that was so impactful for me as a kid playing Pokemon, right? So it's something that I did not want to lose in the creation of Elestrals, and I'm glad that so far so good on that front.
I'm actually so happy you went with the title route too. Like, like as a player, it's fun being able to have a favorite and be able to potentially stick with it, because it's now has a different effect, different stats, but it's the same creature that you came to love. And to me, that's a really cool approach to it.
I think it's going to go really well for us over the long term. And I think exactly that, Christoph mentioned Sonicor and Pigas, eventually those Elestrals will have new cards. They're going to have different effects, and they may do something totally different and open up the potential to make a totally different deck. And that's really exciting, because then players get to explore different avenues and different play styles and still have their favorite, ally or companion by their side. So I'm very excited for that. And I think it's going to ultimately be a big win for us in the future.
Similar to what Nick said too with the titles, and you're able to play your, stick with your favorite Elestral. Nick and I are both very big fans of Voltempest. So again, seeing the new Zeus starter deck and the different Elochit, Griffuse, Voltempest, and trying to think of different strategies to mix the originals and the new ones together. Just trying to think of an awesome deck to play with those, and I'm very excited for it.
The starter deck out of the box is pretty good. It's got both Voltempest in it. I did a demo day at a shop yesterday, and I played, the aDrive challenges against everybody. I lost one game because the guy stuck Voltempest turn 2 and I had no out.
That sounds familiar.
It was very frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. I had shield face down turn 1, and I lava lit his Zeus, so I was good. I established a 4 Elestral board, but I couldn't out the Zeus, and every turn it was just enchant Zeus, disenchant, enchant Zeus, and I had no out, and I was playing bears, but that was the only game all day that I lost. So I'm feeling a little salty about Voltempest right now, but I also know that I am the one who created the monstrosity. So I can only be so mad.
So it sounds like, it sounds like anytime I challenge you, I need to have a Voltempest deck. Is what it sounds like.
I think that Voltempest is a deck that can certainly tilt some people, and can also take the aDrive card for sure.
I mean, or Krakatuga. Let's talk about Krakatuga for a minute.
I like Krakatuga. I run a lot of spiders with Eruption right now in my aDrive challenges, and the amount of times I drop double Eruption for game is very high. Yeah, I'm a big Eruption fan. I know it's caused some controversy lately. I'm a big Eruption guy personally.
And that's how I hit 15th in the last premiere. Krakatuga,
baby.
Yep. It's beautiful.
We did come up with
we did. So we're 3 years into Elestrals.
Whew.
Looking back, did you think after 3 years you would be in Elestrals would be in the position that it's in, and where do you see it going for the next 3 years?
Did I think it would be in the position that it was in? I'm gonna make a comment that might surprise people. I thought it was gonna be a lot easier than it is. I think my naivety of not knowing what I was actually getting into was probably a good thing, because I think if I were to take the step back and look, going back to January 1st to December 31st and know how challenging this was going to be, I think it would have scared anyone away, right? But when you're in it, it's one day at a time. That's really how I live through this process, is just one day at a time. And you try to celebrate the wins as best as you can, and you work through the challenges as best as you can, and you just, one day at a time. So like I said, I gotta be honest, I feel like my initial thought was that it was gonna be easier. But I'm so proud of where we are, because I know the challenges and the mistakes and the resolve and the persistence and just the fact that every day we show up. That to me is the most important thing. and there is no quit. Like when I had someone recently ask me, it was a great question. I was on a call with I was doing a sales call with a distributor, and the sales team was on the call, and they asked me, Dan, if there's one thing that's going to cause Elestrals to fail, what is that going to be? And my answer was, I think the only way Elestrals fails is if I quit, but I'm not going to quit. So that's what I like to capture the most, is that, no matter the challenges, there's always an opportunity as long as you keep pushing forward. And like, that's a big focus of my mentality and how I show up every single day. It's really incredible how far we've come. And I think one of the things that gets me the most excited is that we are still like a minnow in an ocean right now. We have barely scratched the surface. You see those images of the iceberg, like you see a little bit of above the water, and then the whole thing underneath. Like we're like at the very tip of that iceberg in terms of potential, in terms of excitement around the brand and the franchise and what we can build. That gets me super jazzed up because, like I said, we are a speck. We are a grain of sand on a large beach. But we have such a great community. We have so many awesome players, so many great players who are excited to come out to Dallas and excited for our next premier event and excited to build the next deck in Firestorm, and hundreds of stores filled with players that are excited to play the game. And we're just getting started. So I think that is something that fills me with so much hope and excitement for the future. And when I look at what the future of Elestrals is, I've been very open about communicating that my goal is to build the biggest trading card game in the world, first and foremost, but to also build a multimedia franchise that transcends across various platforms, that explores RPG video game, that explores cartoons and books and comics and all of these different things. I don't think there is a limitation to the amount of dreams that we have for what we are looking to accomplish for Elestrals. We take things one day at a time, though, right? Like, because we are an independent company, because we are bootstrapping, that's one of the things that gives us the flexibility and fluidity to be so boots on the ground and so focused on delivering a great experience for our players. And that also comes with the territory that we do have to kind of build slow and steady. But I think it's for the best, because the lessons that you learn while going through the process, you can't teach certain things, right? And I think sometimes you have to go through it to really know it. And that's something that I think I value very highly. We're talking about the global situation right now with tariffs and all the challenges related to that. And the truth is, I've got a lot of experience in manufacturing now because I learned it all. I learned what that's like. I went through it all myself and figured out how to work with manufacturers and how to do logistics and how to do, forwarding of goods and how to do distribution channels and all of these different things that I learned that I never knew how to do before, rather than just finding someone to do it for me or to bring in a team. Because we have all this knowledge of going through the process, we are much more equipped for the future and to build what we want to build. So it's a really exciting time. I don't have like definitive answers of what 3 years from now or 5 years from now looks like, but I can tell you that we've got some great plans that we're working towards right now that I think are going to be really exciting for people to explore in the future. So I'm very optimistic and I'm very excited for what we're building. And we're going to continue to build upon creating the best trading card game we can. We're going to continue to enhance the world of Elestrals by presenting it in different mediums and avenues for people to explore and be a part of the world that we're building. And we're going to continue to focus on our players and uplifting the local communities that we're building at stores across the world. And we take it one day at a time. And our motto is brick by brick. That is the motto of Elestrals, and that is what my team communicates to each other, is brick by brick, one customer at a time, one store at a time, one interaction at a time, one card at a time. We just really focusing on keeping the field of vision at the details. And then when you take a step back, you see the incredible painting that you've just made. It's a wild adventure, but like I said, I really try to focus in on the little things as I go, because I think it's so crucial to not lose sight of the details.
I will point out too, or say you're talking about the tip of the iceberg, and you have all, there's so much more to go. But you're in 48 states, you're in Canada, you're in South America, Europe, China, New Zealand. Don't think I missed any. I hope I didn't miss anything. But like, again, you're the tip of the iceberg, but look how much of the iceberg you're already covering.
It is wild when you say it that way. Yeah.
Every year. Yeah.
It is wild when you say it that way. But like I said, I just know, what the titans of the industry have done. And it sounds so stupid to say, but to even get to 1% of the success of the Titans is such an incredible endeavor. And I don't measure myself based on that, right? That's not a valuable thing to do, but it does speak to the sheer scale and size of people who enjoy trading cards, right? And people who enjoy this style of game and fantasy and adventure. And I think that, again, I think that we have so much room to grow and explore and continue to deliver on a great player experience that it gets me really excited for the future, because we're only going to be able to do that better and better as time progresses. So that gets me very excited.
Yeah, and it's all about perspective too, because like when like as a content creator, and Dan, you probably know this too, is like, and Chris, you too, but is like one of the biggest things is like when you like try to compare yourself to other creators who might be in your space, and it's like you're looking at these creators who have like hundreds of thousands of views or millions of views, and you're looking at yourself and you might have like anywhere between like 5 to 15,000 at some time, and it's like that's like I'm not doing any. But if you think about it in the perspective of it, imagine you're in your local like major league team's basketball arena, football field. Like if you have 15,000 people watching your video, grand scheme, sure, it doesn't feel that big. But imagine you're in that arena and you have a sold out crowd around you. That's how many people are watching your video. Like that perspective like completely changes your like field of view on it. And it's like, wow, that's actually pretty cool that like if everybody who's watching this video was in an arena, the arena would be sold out. And it's
There's
like,
there's a quote that I love, that's comparison is the thief of joy. And that's one that I repeat to myself quite frequently, because as you said and highlighted, the content creator space is one of the most mentally taxing spaces, I think, because of that exact situation. And it took me many years to really digest that idea that comparison is the thief of joy. And it's gotten me to a place where we have a channel in our Discord where we talk about our competition and what they're doing, but only from the perspective of research.
mm-hmm.
I put blinders on otherwise. I am just head focused on what I am trying to create, because the rest of it is just noise. Is just really what it is. It's good insight to learn. Okay, this is a good idea, or this is a bad idea. Let's make sure we don't do that, or we do this. But other than that, just focusing on what I'm focusing on, and that's a great place to be, because I have no control over what the other games are going to do. There's going to always be new games that are going to come out. There's going to be people who are going to take ideas that we've had or try to improve upon them, or whatever it may be. I just got to focus on trying to make the best game that I can make for my players and just continue to deliver on that. So that's where my headspace is. And like I said, it's very exciting, not in the context of like, I think you brought up some really good points with the content side of stuff. But I say the potential and how small we are, not to take away from what we've done by any means, but to show almost the unlimited potential, which I think is just truly incredible. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
We'll say go ahead, bud.
I was just gonna make a quick fun poke and say you can add air fryers to your #1 prize.
Yeah.
Premier events, please. That quote you said, actually, I heard it from you, I think it was like 5 years ago. You said it on stream. And I've even said it to my associates at work. But anyone who's listening, like, take that to heart. Don't compare. I mean, there's a degree of comparing yourself to be like, oh, I want to be like that. But again, put blinders on almost. Be happy for people that have success, but don't compare yourself to that success. That's something I want to strive for. Like, again, like, compare my channel to yours. That's something I want to strive for. I'm not going to look at my videos versus yours. There's experience factors. There's so many different factors. Like, that's going to shut me down. I want to do the best product I can do. That's how everyone should just take things, even, working your work lives. If you're a manager at a company, don't compare yourself to the other managers. Do what you can do. Do what makes you the best, makes your team the best. Like you said, the comparison is a thief of joy is something that a lot of people should take to heart and try to implement in their lives. In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. Compare yourself to yourself.
That's it, right?
Be better.
Compare the yourself of today to the yourself of the past, and recognize the opportunities for growth and how you've changed, and just keep on pushing forward.
Yeah. One thing that I'm sure a lot of people would like to know, because obviously you're in the testing field, like you're a part of it every single day. What is the most busted effect that you had a nerf? What is
Oh
a card
God.
that you made and you're sitting there, you're like, no, we cannot print this. We can't do it.
Oh man. Whew. Let me think about that one. Oh, yeah, I got it. I got it. This is there's probably others, but this one's relevant. So Hermes initially, when we created Hermes, it was allowed to send any Elestrals to the underworld, and that was at a point where we didn't have the ban limited list when we first tested Hermes initially. So I remember in testing, it was the first testing tournament that we ran for set 5, and I actually won it with Nick Samara, which is crazy to think about now. But the deck that almost took me out was a Hermes Farrageist Reanimator deck, and it was basically you just dump, but it wasn't that you just dump Farrageist and rise it. You could dump Ectoplasm and ascend into it with Farrageist out of hand.
Oh,
So there were 2 pathways in testing to get Farrageist out turn 1, and you would just mulligan until you had that pathway. So it was legitimately Hermes dump Farrageist and rise it, or Hermes dump Ectoplasm and ascend it into Farrageist. And it was the most busted thing ever. And the only reason why I advanced is because I had Shield Gorgons to suppress its effect and then bounce it. So that was and it took me like, I don't know, 9 spirits to make that play.
a 7 spirit bounce.
Yeah, it was crazy, right? So that was like the only pathway. It was bonkers, and then we very quickly identified, okay, this needs to only dump Wind Elestrals. That's the only way we can future-proof this card. And then we also have to be very mindful of the Wind Elestrals that we create in the future because of that. But it's balanced by its cost a lot more anyway. But yeah, that was another one. I'll tell you a newer one. We have a card that we're testing right now in set 7, believe it or not. And initially, the effect I wrote was that you I don't want to say too much, but you had the ability to discard it from your hand to draw a card. And it was very quickly identified that, like, okay, this is immediately a 3 of in every deck right now if we keep it as is. So now there's a cost. So now you have to expend a spirit to discard it and draw a card. It has a second effect as well, so it'll have some really good utility. But we wanted to make it so it wasn't a dead draw because its other effect has some really interesting utility. So we didn't want it to be a dead draw. So I just was like, oh, you just pitch it and draw a new card. And then it was very quick, like, hey, wait a minute, we probably have to put a cost on that. That's probably going to be a 3 of in every deck if we don't. So yeah, we've patched that.
That's awesome. So obviously you're the creator of the game, but what's your favorite moment that you've had playing the game?
Ooh. I can tell you that yesterday at Locals, when I was doing this demo, I had a guy tsunami my board, and then I proceeded to pull a spirit off my Lestral, Altar of Stars, to Nexus to my Doppelganger, to ascend into Fulgorix, and then change the position of another one of my Lestrals. And then I had I kind of just blew him back because he had already tsunamied, and then he was not expecting the onslaught of my X of 10 Fulgorix to hit the field. So that was a good one. Yeah, that one's pretty fresh in my mind. I love those types of plays. Oh man, favorite memory playing. You know, I have some really good memories of just like sitting on my porch on my deck with Elestrals, cutouts that we printed at Staples, like glued onto Pokemon cards, and just like jamming games on a towel on my deck outside with an umbrella in the summer last 2022. And that it's just crazy to think back to, like, that's where we were and that's what we were doing and like what it's turned into now. So Viserys, when it used to special cast into attack position, was the guy.
That was a good change.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Nick, what about you? Favorite moment in Elestrals as a player?
Let's see.
Let you go first so I can think of mine, so appreciate it.
Oh, wow. Thanks. Appreciate that. Honestly, outside of like being like playing Dan at one of the Imperial events, that was a pretty fun moment to have, maybe more for me than him in that in that case with the Voltempest. But honestly, I gotta say, the last premiere has probably been one of my favorite. Every game that I played, minus losing to Julian and Dymax, who ended up being the 2 finalists of the event. So I'm okay with losing to the 2 finalists. That's like the best situation you can be in. But outside of like that, outside of those 2 series, every game I played, like in a clash, like in the best of 3, was within 2 spirits. Like it was insanely close. The games were intense. I was sweating. The last match that I had to hit top 16 was against Swolax, and we went to time, and we were tied 7-7, and he had to make a play to beat me, otherwise I was going to win. And like, so when it gets that close and it's like that pretty much the entire day, to me that's like top tier gameplay of like no matter what you're playing. If it's that close, that's top tier. So like that's probably been my favorite day of Elestrals and like I was sweating. It was intense, but I loved it. I loved every second of it because that's what games are supposed to be. It's supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be fun. It wasn't like, oh, we had bad draws and the games were one sided and blown out. No, it was just like intense the entire way. So that's probably my favorite.
I'm gonna piggyback. I have two. I'm gonna piggyback off of you slightly. Playing against Dan. If anyone didn't know, I was the first person to beat Dan at Dallas Open on Thursday. And don't take this the wrong way. I didn't think that deck was really special. Because I'm like, oh, because you weren't able to do a lot. And then watching you play that deck the rest of the weekend, like I got entirely lucky playing it. I'm like, holy, like anyone to know, I play Krakatuga, so I'm like, okay, we're both playing fire. Okay, well, I need to clear his board to play Eruption, this, and that. And then watching everyone play, I'm like, I got extremely lucky I didn't see Arachne's Lair on field.
Yeah, I've tweaked the deck since then.
The Hearth of Hestio.
I recognize that that deck does not work if Lair doesn't hit the field. So I now have Jolton. I have tweaked it a little bit, and I look forward to my next round of challenges because no one's gonna beat me now.
I love it.
And I have to say my main one because like for me, I love when we're playing the game we can laugh and have a good time. I love seeing Eddie hit Eddie back and forth.
Oh my god!
There's only been 3 or 4 times that we've seen 6 Eddies in 6 turns, and it's just a meme at that point, and you just keep going back and forth. I love seeing that combo happen.
When we test, and like Chris and I, we have like a testing group that we do internally, and any time like Eddie comes out, it's almost like it doesn't matter if the next play, like going Eddie, is the completely wrong play. You just do it anyway to keep the chain going.
Keep an Eddie party going.
It's unbelievable. Second favorite moment was sometime when you're deck testing, you switch out a lot of cards from your decks and everything. And one of the Eclipse and I were playing some matches, and we played like 3 games, and I didn't see a single Ambrosia. And I was like, why am I not seeing Ambrosias? So I go through my deck to see. I was playing with 5 Ambrosias, and I still didn't see one. And I was like, first off, this is wild because one, I'm playing 5 Ambrosias. 2, how am I not seeing Ambrosias when I'm playing 5 Ambrosias? Like, this is a completely illegal play. But it's
secret casters don't want you to know.
So that was just like a fun moment there.
Can I get a judge over here? Yeah, deck check.
Judge?
Skyhawk's flying in right now, huh? I think we covered pretty much everything. Dan, was there anything you want to close us out? Was there anything you want to kind of shout out? I mean, obviously, Elestral's best TCG, but anything else coming up that you want to shout out? Or
no, I just want to take a moment and say thank you to everybody who's been watching and getting excited about Elestrals. I'm very stoked about kind of the next chapter for us, the Firestorm series, the Divine Champions, and the opportunity that's going to present for Elestrals in terms of game plan decks and just a great offering in general with our starter decks. So now is the time to get excited at your local game store and to tell them about Elestrals and to get them pre-ordering Firestorm and get your local community engaged. And I offer myself as an opportunity to, help you do that. If you have a store that's kind of on the fence or whatever, reach out to me and I'll get in contact with them. I'm running our sales team now, so among the other hats that I wear. So, I'm directly, working with the stores and trying to make sure that they're finding success. And I want to help you help us, right? So any opportunity we have to team up. But again, I just want to thank you guys as well for being a part of the community, not just in the context of competing and collecting and things like that, but taking the time out of your schedules to create content and share your passion with the community is really, really awesome. And it reminds me a lot of, kind of when I started creating content as well, because, in a lot of the context here, when people are creating content for a game like Elestrals, we're still in our infancy stages. So anyone who's doing that is doing it on a pure level of passion, right? Like you're doing it because you like the game, because you want to share with people, because you want to find a community. And I remember when I started creating content, like that's why I did it. I did it to find more people to add on PlayStation Network, so I had people to play Call of Duty with. Like that's what started me creating content. So like this idea that these games and these avenues bring people together in such a special way is something that I hold very dear, and it's something that I cherish. So again, just my thank you to you guys and to everyone else who's been a part of what we're building. It's been really fun, and I'm excited because our best days are ahead of us. So it's going to be a really exciting year, and we've got even more coming from beyond then too.
Yeah, Elestrals has certainly taken my focus away from my other content, but I can't say, I honestly can't say I'm too mad about it, honestly. So
You gotta have fun. You gotta have fun doing it.
Everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is still Christoph, my co-host, Mr. Full Frontage, and Dan, aka aDrive. Thank you for being our very first guest. Guys, hope you have a stellar day. We'll see you.
Peace.